This video is, of course, brought to you by me, Meet Kevin, and the amazing programs on building your wealth with a Black Friday coupon now available, expiring 11:59 p.m. Friday night. Hey everyone, Meet Kevin here. Let's talk about what Apple just announced. So first of all, I want to mention that this particular comment may have helped motivate me wanting to make this video, but we're not quite there yet. I do like the enthusiasm and I appreciate it, but we are not quite where we could say the Apple car is coming. Rocket ship, rocket ship, rocket ship. Don't get me wrong, I love Apple. I invest in Apple. I think it's a great company, and I have a bunch of Apple products here, although sometimes I do get frustrated at my Mac Pro crashing all the time, but that's a topic for a different video. What's more interesting here, though, is that Bloomberg is now reporting that Apple is refocusing and taking a shift on their EV project, their electric vehicle project, yet again. So Apple has originally been developing two paths. One path where Apple develops a vehicle that can drive itself or be driven by a human or some combination of these two things. The benefit of this path is that you could do what Tesla does, where you could say, okay, here's a car that you could drive that has some features of autonomy, and we're going to add features over time. It's kind of like Mr. Potato Head. You're adding some features over time. But Apple doesn't want to play Mr. Potato Head in pieces. They want to give you the complete potato head, and they are now going completely in the direction of one fully autonomous vehicle that people do not have to use. And until Mr. Potato Head is fully assembled, there will be no Potato Head that you can buy from Apple. In other words, no EV from Apple at any level unless it is fully capable of self-driving. Now, there are a lot of rumors and speculation. Bloomberg did just report this, but even in their report, they include their own speculation. They're like, Apple appears to be hiring a lot of software developers and developers for working on the user experience. And we expect that Apple might use an iPad so you can control the vehicle via an iPad. And if this makes sense, it would make intuitive sense that somebody could assume that there are going to be iPads in these vehicles for you to get around. In fact, there's a company called Skywise that uses iPads to fly helicopters, which is kind of cool, where basically you can navigate, basically the helicopter flies itself under the direction of you guiding it, just where to go. Okay, I want to go here, I want to go up, I want to go down, and it does everything else. Almost kind of like flying a little drone. Flying, obviously, like a DJI drone is a lot easier than actually flying a real helicopter, where you have to deal with the acceleration and the pitch and all the crazy things that you have to deal with. While I'm optimistic about that company flying helicopters with iPads, it's going to be really interesting to see people driving cars with iPads in the future. But again, a lot of speculation in the Bloomberg article here. It seems like the big piece of news, though, is that Apple is abandoning its plans to go with some sort of partial launch, again, where they can give you a vehicle that has some level of autonomy or partner with other car manufacturers to give some level of autonomy. This, in my opinion, is not the best news for a company like Lucid. Lucid has regularly hinted that they would love to partner with another company that could give them the autonomous driving technology that they do not have currently, but they have the sensors built into their cars to support. So the reason this would be bad for Lucid is because if Apple's not going to launch anything until they have the complete Mr. Potato Head, then Lucid's not going to be relevant because Apple is designing their software for a car that would have no steering wheel and no pedals. So not the best news for Lucid. Obviously, Lucid and Rivian down about 15% today. Not on this Apple news, down mostly as momentum is beginning to wane out of the EV sector. Even Tesla ended up high this morning, ended up over 11.11. We have pulled back. We're actually down 1% right now on Tesla stock. And so you're seeing a little bit of EV enthusiasm rotate away. Tesla currently sitting at 1075. Apple, however, getting an enthusiastic bump here. We got a bump of about 1.5% or about 2.37 points. We're sitting at 157.43 right now. We are at all-time highs for Apple, which is pretty incredible. Intraday all-time high 157.72. Now, also worth noting that Bloomberg expects that this chip that Apple is designing along with their self-driving technology and this vehicle they're designing, the chip they plan to use, they expect to be their most intelligent and smart algorithm-driven chip ever created. They're currently testing 69 luxury SUVs, and their goal is to get some form of full self-driving vehicle by 2025. Bloomberg does suggest that this is very aggressive and kind of questions Apple's leadership, given that they're on their 5th executive for leading the Apple Car project in 7 years, which compared to their their augmented reality division, they've had the same leader for the entire time that division has existed. And so Bloomberg sort of mentions that these transitions are indicative of A, an abnormality at Apple, and B, potentially a failed sense of direction in terms of where to go. So this is just another shift in the saga. I don't think this is really good news that the Apple car is anywhere close. If anything, to me, this is more bullish for Tesla than it is for Apple, because it's a sign that Apple is yet again either directionless or quite far behind. Testing 69 vehicles that are using sensors and are not presently self-driving, personally not very bullish on that relative to the technology and machine learning that Tesla is able to do using millions of vehicles on the road and collecting data from millions of vehicles versus 69 that Apple is using. It's also worth noting that Barclays has released an announcement that their tracker of Taiwanese supply chains indicates that we might end up seeing more of a slowing than Wall Street expects. And that is because they track components that go into Apple iPhones and Apple devices, and they're seeing more of a slowing than what Wall Street is likely to expect. And this could impact the rest of Q4 for November and December. Their latest survey was just completed at the end of October. Apple is also now, just another news, announcing that they are allowing right to repair repairs. This has been a big deal in the tech community, that individuals have not been able to get parts for repairing basic things on iPhones or iPads or whatever. Apple is allowing now and will be selling kits, tools, parts, and instructions for doing basic repairs like screens and cameras on iPhone 12s and 13s. And eventually they'll end up getting into Macs and some of their other devices. I expect all of their devices in the future. So here's some updates sort of on Apple and the EV industry as a whole. We'll see if the EV cycle, sort of the EV enthusiasm stays, or if we're at the end of EV enthusiasm right now. Remember, it always comes and goes in cycles, given again that Rivian and Lucid are now down almost 16% and somewhat slipping into the close of escrow, or not the close of escrow, the close of the market open. It is quite possible that we could have a temporary pause on the EV cycle again here and end up cycling into either a broader market sell-off or sort of the market looking for another cycle to rotate into. That is, of course, how trading and momentum works, though. So I wouldn't necessarily look at Apple and go, yay, it's up 2%, and saying that that's necessarily going to last. Now, again, though, that would be for trading purposes. I hodl my Apple, unlike some of the other investments that I make that I'm much more willing to trade. Anyway, I will continue to hodl Apple. Not going to add to Apple on this news. I'd rather add to something else like Nvidia on a dip. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, consider sharing. If you like my perspective, check out the programs linked down below on Building Your Wealth. Use that Black Friday coupon code. And folks, see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Goodbye.